What is up, guys? This is Max Square. For those of you who forgot, I know it has been a while since I uploaded, and I do apologize for that. I've been busy with a ton of other projects. But in this video, I want to show you how to create some smooth animations in After Effects without any plugins. Now, in a previous video, I went over how to create some nice lower third animations with a plugin called Motion made by Mount MoGraph. But I got some requests asking if I could show you guys how to do that without any plugins, and that's exactly what we're going to be doing in this video. Let's get started. So once we open up After Effects, we're going to go ahead and create a new project. Go into composition, new composition, as we always do. Simple 1920 by 1080. You're going to make it 10 seconds long, and I'm going to call this comp because that's a creative name. Then I'm just going to double click the rectangle tool to create a full solid, and I'm going to change that to a nice, let's go with a orange. I like orange, it's a good color. Okay, and then you want to select out of that shape layer, hold down the shapes tool, go to ellipse tool, and then hold down shift to create a circle. And this can be any shape you want. I'm just going to use a circle for this video. Gonna make that white, and then I'm just going to center that anchor point on the shape. Now this anchor point tool is also part of the Motion version 2 script, but you can also get the move anchor point from Mount MoGraph for free. I'll put a link down in the description. Next, we're going to center it on the composition, and then we're going to click on our shape layer, and I'm going to rename this to circle, and this one to background. Then I'm going to select the circle layer and hit S to bring up our scale properties. I'm going to go to about a frame or two in, and maybe a frame and a half. And I'm going to select the keyframe, go back, and pull this down to 0. So if we watch this back, it's obviously really boring. It just really slowly fades up. Nothing too interesting there. But if we select these keyframes, we right-click it, go to Keyframe Assistant, and select Easy Ease, this is where things start to get pretty interesting. Now, it doesn't do too much right off the bat, but you can see it's a little smoother, more elegant animation. But the reason we do that is that we can select these keyframes and go into the keyframe editor. And this will pull up a graph where we can see our two keyframes, and we can actually select this and mess around with the handles here. So if we select this top one and pull this all the way to the left, and you can hold down shift to create a straight line. If you can see, I don't hold down shift, it just lets you go in any direction. But if you hold down shift and go all the way to the back and we watch it again, you see it kind of has a more pop in animation. So it pops in and then it kind of settles in really smoothly. But if we went back and pulled the bottom one all the way to the right, you'll see it takes longer to fade up and then it pops in. So you see it comes up and then it pops in like that. So that's looking pretty good. And you can mess around with this however you want, but I'm going to go ahead and pull this back to its original shape. And then I'm going to select G on the keyboard to pull up our pen tool, and we're going to select in the middle. And this will give us another point which we can mess with. So this basically just creates another keyframe in the middle here, as you can see if I go out of the graph. But if I go back, I can now zoom in by zooming out. I can zoom in and I can select that point and mess around with those handles. So if I brought them back to that middle point, so they're all vertical, then it's gonna take more time on the left and right of the animation, or the start and end. So it's gonna take longer to go in, and it's gonna pop in and then settle. Now you could also do something like taking this point, moving it up, and bringing it up like that. So that's actually gonna go farther than the end keyframe. So if you see I play it back, it's gonna go bigger and then it's gonna kind of settle in. And you can create as many keyframes as you want. Just create another one and make one that goes even higher. And there's tons you can do. So you can see if I just keep creating keyframes here and adding a bunch of points, the animation starts to get pretty complex. Now, it actually doesn't look that cool, but you can see that there's tons you can do without even using a single plugin. So that's pretty much the basis of this video, but I'm gonna go and create a rectangle, and I'm gonna make this a vertical rectangle like this. I'm gonna go down to the rectangle path and pull the roundness all the way up. So it's a rounded rectangle, and then I'm just gonna center the anchor point and center it in the canvas. And I'm gonna bring it down over our circle. Next, I'm gonna go to add, I'm gonna select repeater. Then I'm gonna go down into the repeater, go to copies, and make that 10. I'm gonna make sure both position for X and Y are 0, so they're all gonna be stacked on top of each other. Then we're gonna go to rotation, 360 degrees divided by the amount of copies you have, so that's gonna be 10 for us. And then you'll see we make a nice circle of these rectangles, and it doesn't look like this is centered vertically, so I'm gonna shift this up a little bit, like so. And what we want to do is kind of animate the scale on for this rectangle to be more interesting as a kind of more of a pop effect rather than just scaling up without any effects. So we're going to go to about a second, hit the scale, go back and bring this to 0. And then what you also want to do is go to this shape layer at the top, hit scale, go to the keyframe, create a keyframe, hit U on your keyboard, and then go up to here, drag that keyframe forward with the others and make sure that this is 0. So it's going to animate the parent and all the child repeaters of that too. So now you can see it's pretty basic, just kind of fades on like this. We're going to select them, right click, go through this easy ease process again. And for these, I really want these to pop, so I'm going to go all the way out. And I can actually select all of the keyframes here and move them out like this. And I'm gonna make these all the way out as well so they pop in the middle. And what you can do is you can see that this is kind of animating on after. The parent one is actually animating on before we wanted the other ones to go on. So we're gonna go back to the this scale property, and we're going to move this into about 15 frames. And you can see if we play our animation back, the top rectangle fades on and the circle pops up with the other ones. So you can see there's tons of stuff you can do with the basic keyframe animations inside of After Effects without any plugins. The only reason I use the motion script is because it's a lot easier to just click a button and it kind of gets me close to where I need it, and then I can trim it afterwards to get it down to exactly where I want it. But when you're in a ton of layers and stuff and you just want to select it, click a button. It's super helpful where you don't have to go to each shape layer and mess around with the keyframe properties. But if you're not doing tons of animation work, then if you only need a couple shapes like this, using the basic keyframe editor is perfect for that. So anyway guys, that is it for this video. I hope that was helpful in some way or another. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.